everybody, and welcome. If you are watching us for the first time, you are watching Faith in an Ever-Changing World, bringing you encouragement and hope. And I'm Janet Harley, your host. Today, I am so excited to introduce my guests, Ron and Debra Moore. Now, Ron is a pastor, evangelist, author, and radio and television personality. He is also a Marine veteran. He's a writer and producer of radio and TV commercials, a stand-up comic, jingle writer. And Debra Moore is a mental health advocate, faith-based actress, screenwriter, and public speaker. And together, currently, they have a podcast, Ron and Deb Unplugged, a show about something. So let me bring them on.
Hello, Janet. Good morning.
Hi.
Thank you for the Marine Corps plug.
Yes, okay,
Simplify.
awesome. And Ron and Deb, thank you so much for joining me. It's so good to see you.
Thank you for having us.
It's good to see
Oh,
you too.
absolutely.
We missed you, Janet. We missed you.
I know it. I've missed you both, but so glad to get to see you on Facebook and keep up with you. We'll have to plan some more time together. How's that?
Okay.
Which is a hard thing to do because it's hard for me to keep up with us. Yeah.
That's for sure. Ron, first of all, I want to thank you for serving our country as a Marine.
Oh, it was my privilege. You're welcome. It was my privilege and honor.
Ah, and Debra, I tell you, why don't you tell us, lead off a little bit and tell us about your faith-based acting.
Well, I was trying to write a biopic, faith-based feature film about my life, Janet. And I did write it. I did get it copyrighted, but I didn't really know how to go about getting it done and getting it crewed and getting it casted and getting it funded and all that kind of thing. And I thought as soon as I got it copyrighted, the naivete kicked in, and I thought, oh, it'll be like a year and God will make it, you know? And well, as we all know, it hasn't come out yet.
Right.
So, but God told me, he was very clear with me. And I like when God is direct with me. And he said, Debra, you need to go out on the faith-based film sets. You need to learn everything you can learn about filmmaking, because what you know now is nothing. And I want this film to be impactful. I want this film to heal. I want this film to get out there and help people. And you need to learn what you don't know, which is everything.
Right.
And so where does he send me? He sends me to the Chosen set in Midlothian, Texas.
Wow.
And for season 3, season 4, season 5, I've been blessed to set my foot on the Chosen set as an extra background actor. It's been the blessing of my lifetime.
Oh, yeah.
And I literally landed in a group of Christian creatives.
Wow.
From Dallas Jenkins to the other writers, to Adam Drake, the AD, to even the PAs, even
Yes.
the crew, even the cast, even the extras. Everybody there is creative for the Lord in some way or another. There are so many movies and shows and series that have happened right on the lot of The Chosen for people that work for The Chosen. We have had, look at Dallas Jenkins, best Christmas pageant ever.
Yeah.
I mean, that came out of him and Amanda Jenkins' heart for the Lord when they read that book to their children.
You can tell. Yeah.
20 years ago, you know.
Awesome.
And the way they do The Chosen, the way they love the God's Word, way a lot of the actual script of The Chosen is the Bible.
Yes. Yes.
And Dallas is very clear about this is a television show. This is not a church.
Right.
But it pervades the gospel over the entire globe. And it's an amazing catalyst for the Lord to use, especially in these end times.
Wow.
For people to have a John 3:16 experience, for people to get healed, for people to come to the Lord. We want to drag as many people as we can to heaven with us.
For
And
such a
that's what
time
the
as this.
chosen is doing.
She had an out of body experience when she was called and told that her picture was in the TV Guide
I
special
was going to
edition
say,
of The Chosen. She had an
congratulations.
out of body experience.
I did.
Woo.
I did. I'm back now. I'm back in my body now.
Okay.
But Ron and I had gone to something the Chosen has been having for the last 2 years called Chosen Con. And it's like Comic-Con, but it's basically fans of the Chosen. And there were 4,000 fans of the Chosen at the Anito Hotel in Dallas in 2024, actually 2023. And Ron and I were able to go, and it was a great experience. And some of us extras decided to dress up in our first century garb, right? And
Right.
so I was with a friend of mine who had made a Roman soldier costume, and he had made his daughter a little first century child costume, and then I had worn one. And we were just standing there minding our own business in what they called Media Day, which I wasn't sure what that was.
Yeah.
And people just took pictures of us, and we just took pictures with people. We were, just having fun. We were fangirls and fan guys of the Chosen too,
Wow. Wow.
And then 4 months later, my friends on Facebook are saying, "Guess what, Deborah? You're in the special collection, collector's edition of the Chosen TV Guide." And I'm like, "I'm in the what?"
True story. I heard her scream. I was in our bathroom. I heard her scream. I went looked around and said, "What's happening?" And that was what happened.
Exactly. But you know what I think this is, Janet, to be honest?
Oh,
I think,
my
yes,
goodness.
the Lord is using faith-based films to get his message out there to more people that may not go to church,
Absolutely.
that may not ever grace the doors of a church of any kind.
Right.
And
Right.
I also think that the miracles that he's showing me, of me actually being involved in this, having no basis or foundation to be involved in this other than being a born-again, Jesus-loving Christian.
Right.
And showing me the
Yes.
miracles that he's done. I have an IMDb credit for being an extra, featured extra in season 3, episode 7. I was in the Chosen Collector's TV Guide, which doesn't really have anything to do with me.
There were no extras in that.
But what it is it's miracles, Janet. It's miracles. And God is showing me miracles through the Chosen. People get saved on the set out there. There are all different denominations of people out there. There are atheists, there are Christians, there are all different men, women from every walk of life on the set.
Right.
True. A lot of the cast are not Christians. They come to Christ. A lot don't. But I believe that they will. And it's just miracles. It's like God is showing me his miracles, which makes me believe even more that when God's timing comes through, he'll make my movie.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. And I love The Chosen. I've watched every season, and of course the is it the 5th season coming out?
Yes, the 5th season of The Chosen is coming out approximately late March, early April, and it's coming out all over the world.
Oh, yes.
And it's coming out in Africa, and it's coming out.
God has opened the doors for that.
It's been translated into 60 different languages, which means it has the capacity to be going into all the different networks all over the world. And, my prayer, Ron's prayer, your prayer, everybody's prayer on The Chosen is that everyone would have a John 3:16 experience of their own.
Right. Well, be sure and shop at Hobby Lobby. The reason I say that is because my old friend David Green, who owns Hobby Lobby, is paying for these translations through Wycliffe Bible translators.
And the Come and See Foundation.
Yeah. So he's paying for that through the Come and See Foundation. So God has his businessmen out there who can fund the kingdom.
He does.
He does. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, Ron, tell us a little bit about you. You've got a ministry, Fields of Grace.
Right. Well, that's
that.
Yeah, that's kind of the name of our church, loosely described, so to speak. When I was, I had actually started a church years ago in Denver, Colorado, called Mountain of Grace. But being down here in the flatlands, it's more fields. So we're plus Big Daddy Weave, my buddy there, Big Daddy Weave, David Weaver. Anyway, he sang a song called "Dancing in My Father's Love in Fields of Grace." So Fields of Grace is just kind of our thing because, I have certainly experienced the grace of God, and my friend, let's see, the third day, Matt Powell, yeah, has a song. His latest song was "I Knew the Lord." But boy, it wasn't until I blew it that I found out what I was talking about.
That's
And
exactly.
that was the case with me. I grew up in a Christian home, started preaching when I was 14 years old, after a radical experience with Jesus, with the Holy Spirit, at youth camp. I spoke of that grace and that love, but boy, there came a time that I blew it. And so I had to experience the love of God. And
Yes.
I'm telling you, it was something. I had to experience the grace of God.
Yes.
And I think there's just something for those of us who have blown it royally to hear when we hear the Father say,
Right.
"Get up, my child, wash yourself off with the blood, and go on."
And he has probably 6,000 to 8,000 people on this Facebook page, which constitutes this Fields of Grace, and they call him 24 hours a day for prayer. He'll go visit you in the hospital. He'll do your funeral. He'll marry you. It's like he literally has a church without walls.
Well, it's just great to hear the people that, say, "Man, I needed to hear that word."
Yeah.
Right.
And that was a word for me, or to see people come to Christ,
And I love your morning cup of motivation.
Well, thank you.
Yes. Always a good word there.
Well, and did you like our Valentine's?
I did.
Special Valentine's edition, yeah.
It was beautiful. Yes. Now tell us about your podcast that you do together. I remember when you all were on, and you were in front of that big clock, you see,
right?
And you were on, and you would come on Facebook and do something together. And so it has kind of evolved now into Ron and Deb Unplugged, a show about something.
Right.
So
well,
tell us how you came up with the Ron and Deb Unplugged.
Right. Well, first of all, I never intended to get on the stage in front of cameras. And basically, okay, let me make sure here's this. When it's all said and done, I'm just cornbread preacher boy.
Don't believe him.
That's the truth.
I fell for that. Don't believe him.
There you go, Deborah.
So all I want to do is just preach one people to Jesus. Well, as God restored my life, began to restore my life about 30 years ago. He began to put me on the airwaves and television, and so I felt led, to make a long story short, to do a show called Survivors in the Game of Life, a show that would encourage people, that would really run a mission behind enemy lines on secular television, and give hope and encouragement to people.
That's right.
So and then when you went to our website, that's where people really get the gospel. So anyway, went out to Hollywood. In 3 years, got a pilot shot, got representation with a management firm and an entertainment company. And so it too has not sold yet. But so in doing that, when Deb and I got married, well, we realized, people think we got together thinking, "Oh, we're gonna form this camera, this partnership on television." And no, we didn't know. We never even thought about that.
Well, and honestly, Janet, we met through Morning Cup of Motivation. That's how we met. I was listening to him for like 3 or 4 years, and I just knew him as the Facebook preacher.
She got under conviction.
And the Lord just really directed me. He said, "Have you considered watching Ron Moore again?" And I'm like, okay, And so I started commenting on his Morning Cup of Motivations from here and there that I liked, and I thought, here's this, good guy, this strong man of God, this ruggedly handsome dude, Yeah. And but I thought what he was saying was straight from the Bible. And I just commented. He commented. We started talking.
Right.
He asked me for my number. I gave him my number. He took me on a date. He was a perfect gentleman, and that's actually how we met. through
Ah,
his preaching on Facebook.
how
And
about
then,
that?
yes, and then before we got married, he didn't really say anything about, well, I'm dating someone, we're about to get married, we're engaged, blah, blah, blah. He never said anything.
Right.
And
Mum's
so,
the word.
when we got married, he thought, well, maybe now's a good time.
So I introduced her, and it's like the first time we got on camera together, it's like, wow, sparks happened then too for on-air chemistry. So after we've been married only about 2 months, I think.
1 month.
It was 1 month.
Wow.
I said, rather than just sit around waiting for a TV show to be bought, but to be sold, let's do something. So we started doing it. I said, let's do a podcast.
And oddly enough, the George Costanza, the character that plays George Costanza on Seinfeld, has a video out for actors and actresses. And he says, this is what you do. If you can't find your project, make your own project.
Make your own.
Yeah.
And so when Ron decided that we would have a podcast and we would name it Ron and Deb Unplugged, a show about something, as opposed to Seinfeld, a show about nothing. Not that there's anything wrong with that, George. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It was very telling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we want a show about something, meaning something faith-based.
Right.
Promotes the gospel.
Something that promotes the gospel, something that promotes faith-based films, faith-based actresses, faith-based projects, people that rescue people out of Afghanistan, people that fought in the Israel Defense Force. We interviewed Brian Sanders of Why Stand With Israel documentary, who was a strong documentary for Israel, and we want to support the Lord and his work.
Yes.
And just because, as you know, in interviewing so many faith-based film people, there's very little of that in the mainline secular media. Very little of that.
Very little, yes.
And so we need to be the ones, I was telling Ron this morning, we need to be the ones that are spreading the word for the Lord. What is he doing? There's a whole subculture of faith-based movies that are now making money in Hollywood, and none of the other movies are really making the money anymore.
Right.
You're right.
Yeah. So we just, basically we started out just kind of doing some teaching and her sharing her story and I don't know, then we said, well, let's have a guest on. We had a guest on. And so then it just kind of started into people started wanting to come on our show and we started inviting people and it was amazing. We even got to interview the #1 Christian rock group for King and Country.
Right.
And now you have a studio.
So, so anyway, it just kind of has evolved and now we're in this studio with a big LED light board behind us. And so God bless them.
Yes.
It's a beautiful show. And if the viewers, if you haven't seen their podcast, Ron, tell us when we can see your podcast.
I'm sorry you cut out.
Tell us when you can see the podcast.
Well, you can go right now. You can see episodes on Ron and Deb Unplugged on YouTube. You can see them on at Ron and Deb Unplugged Facebook page.
Yes.
Yeah. And we're getting geared up to get on other platforms too. It's just the time and my lack of techie. So
somehow I think the Lord will take care of that, Janet. What do you think?
I think so too. And I like to support all I can for faith-based movies as well, and have guests on either the actors or directors, producers. It just I just feel like the Lord leads me to support them in their work. The work that they are doing. So, and some amazing movies are being made.
Really?
Based.
Really amazing.
Absolutely.
Can I just share something that's on my heart
right now? Sure, please, Ron.
For married couples.
Yes.
Well, I just want you to know something and I'm not even sharing this with Deb, but last week, or maybe a week before, time put the blur, as I was reading there in Ephesians about loving my wife as Christ loved the church. And it's so cool, the word of God. You can read it 100 times, the same passage 100 times, and you read it again, and something fresh just jumps out at you. And this time it jumped out to me about how Christ emptied himself. and we're love our wives. In other words, that spoke to me, about emptying ourselves. And I just want to challenge, and I think both of us would say, boy, marriage is not this everyday candlelight romantic walk on the beach experience.
This is true.
But rather it's a commitment, and like Deb says, we fight, but we forgive, and we go on.
Yes, and the evolution of the podcast, Janet, is almost like an evolution of our relationship, because as Ron said, you read his bio, he has this in his background, but I don't. So the Lord has been elevating me to a different level, to a different level, to a different level. And each of these levels require me to be someone that I have never been.
Well, it's like she said, I've basically been doing this since I was 14 years old, so 10, 15 years. So, I never thought when I would buzz home and say, hey, baby, or I'd call her and say, hey, I'll be home in 10 minutes. Let's do a live broadcast real quick to promote.
I'm like, what?
Yeah, I never thought about it.
I don't think so.
I never thought about that being rattling to anybody.
Oh my goodness.
But it's great because the Lord gives you what you need for the next level that He's sending you to for His kingdom work. And that may be a word for someone else, for some young filmmaker or some young actress or actor out there, or even an older one, that, you glean from the fields of the next level for what the Lord wants you to do next.
Yes, He does.
So if you're going through a tough time, I know when I was pastor at Four Wall Church, how many people would say, "Oh, well, our marriage isn't perfect," and I'm going, "Hey, pal, who's this?" We got some problems. Well, who doesn't? I mean, you're two people trying to come together to be one.
Yes.
And so that takes a lot of grace towards each other.
Oh, yes.
And a lot of, hey, letting it go.
Well, is there anything that you all would like to share for our viewers?
We are pumped up. This week, we've got North Texas's own Jay Sixer, who was arrested. They shut down her bank account.
Yes, they debanked her.
Yeah, debanked her. Told her we can't do your banking anymore.
They canceled her.
And she's in jail for 60 days.
From January the 6th at the Capitol.
And she has been pardoned now, of course. And so she's going to be on our show this weekend.
And she's also written a book. Her name is Jenna Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And her book is called Storming the Capitol.
Aha. Oh, that sounds good.
So it's going to be a great one. Then we've got, you may have interviewed Robert Borelli coming up next week's show, former Mafia.
Gambino Mafia family member.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I mean, it's just, we've got some great shows lined up.
Yes, exciting shows coming up. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Oh, wow. Well, Ron and Deb, thank you so much for taking your time to join me today. And what an exciting podcast this has been, getting to know you two a little bit better and finding out all that you're doing.
Yes.
Well, thank you.
And we just want to thank you too, Janet, because, your Faith in an Ever-Changing World show is a great stabilizer for people. It's something that people know they can watch this show and they can get good content. They can get good ideas about where to watch wonderful faith-based shows and documentaries. And that's what we need. So thank you so much for you doing that. We really appreciate it.
And sometime we'll come on and do just a little snippet of our comedy routine.
Yeah, we'll do a comedy routine.
Yes. Yes. That would be great. That would be great.
He has visions in his mind of me being the lady from Father's Knows Best in pearls and a dress, rolling a vacuum cleaner.
Yeah.
June Cleaver.
June Cleaver. Yeah, we'll see how that comedy routine goes.
Oh, yes, we'll see how that goes. Oh, that sounds great. Oh, my goodness. Now, where can people connect with you?
Okay, they can connect to us via our email, which just simply Ron Moore at Gmail. No, that's not true.
OKC.
Ron Moore OKC @gmail.com.
And also with my Facebook page, Debra, Debra Schmitz, SCHMITZ Moore. Connect with me there, because I did that because the only Debra Moore, there's a million Debra Moores, but there's only one Debra Schmitz Moore.
That's right.
But yeah, Facebook,
right.
I mean, you can always contact us via Facebook.
Yes.
And yeah.
Right.
Just
And
find
of
us on
course,
there.
your podcast page as well.
Yes. Ron
Yes.
Deb Unplugged.
Right.
That's it. That's it. All right. Thank you again. Thank you again.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Have a great
You're
day.
so
Love
welcome.
you.
Yes. Love you too.
All right.
Love
It's been a
you
joy.
too. And so I just appreciate you all so very much. And we'll do this again sometime.
Yes.
Sounds great.
Okay.
Thank you all for watching. And remember, look up, friends, where our help comes from, and keep moving forward in faith. God bless you. See you next time. Bye.